Welcome back to a segment made popular on Texags.com by the man to my immediate left, Jordan Pugh, former A&M defensive back, former NFL defensive back. We call it watching tape. We simply watch plays of A&M defensive backs and let a former DB break them down. And before we get into the tape, we're going to break down Donovan Wilson. And you know Donovan Wilson. Man, I'm president of the Donovan Wilson fan club.
Yes.
Should I be?
You should.
Yeah.
You should.
I agree.
I think he's a player that all fans need to look out for.
Yeah.
I really do. I think he's a guy that you have to find a position for him. Mm-hmm. I think you do.
As a starter?
Let's say yes. Let's say yes. Let's say yes as a starter because we think about Chavis. We think about the system that he runs.
Yep.
I think we can find a spot for him, especially the nickel spot.
Yeah.
I like nickel. You know, he likes to use the 6 DBs sometimes. I think he could be your primary guy inside. I think he plays his best ball inside. You know, the nickel spot, being able to read tackles, but still being able to cover receivers, cover the pass, different zone schemes, different things like that. But I think he's the type of guy you got to find a spot for him. He's too athletic. He plays too smart not to be in there. So you got to find something for him.
So let's make a hypothesis that Donovan Wilson would make a great nickel player. Yeah. And I think we've got tape that might back that up as we get into it a little bit.
Let's watch it.
The first one, Ronnie, if you'll show this, is actually him on special teams, Jordan. If you'll kind of break down Donovan Wilson as a special teams performer, showing his A, athleticism, and B, his aggressiveness.
Well, when you look at this play, he's the contained guy. So you don't want anything to get outside of him.
Yep.
And they always teach you to play to keep your outside shoulder, outside arm free. And so that's what you see on this play.
Great technique.
But not only do you see that on special teams, you also see the wrap tackle.
Let's run that back.
Not only the wrap tackle, but he's trying to rip the ball from the returner. And so when you see that, man, the technique alone.
How about that? He was not able to pop outside.
Exactly. Great technique, great wrap tackle, and trying to strip the ball. All three things that you want to see on that special teams play, and that's something that he does well. He plays well in space.
And he's strong enough to bring that guy down with his arms,
exactly,
too, and wrap him up and pull him down. He's got a lot of strength about him.
Exactly. And I really like the mental side. You know, when we get into tape more, you'll be able to see the mental side and how he reads off defenders. And a lot of that, too, is instinct. You know, when you get to the mental side, all of a sudden the instinct starts to pop up more. And so that's what you like to see from Donovan.
All right, so let's look at another play of him, and this is him as a defensive back in the open field, just showing how good he is. What do you have to have when you're in the open field is alertness.
Yes.
You got to have aggressiveness, too, and be able to sure tackle.
Well, when you look at this play, you look at the screenplay that came out. So the first thing he's reading the lineman, and he sees them. They call it elephants on parade. So when you see the elephants on parade, you know something's up.
Look at that.
But the thing that you love about this play was he was able to detect the play. He was able to go down. He found the running back, but then you see the angle that he takes.
Play it again.
He takes the outside angle, going for that outside shoulder, outside leg of that back. So no matter what, if he missed that tackle, he's forcing it back to his pursuit.
More of his comrades.
Exactly. But you see the wrap tackle as well. That's another thing that you love about Wilson. That's another reason why I say the nickel spot may be the best spot for him, because he's good in space. Real good in space. He can read well, tackle well, takes great angles, and that's evident on this play right here.
Oh, man, if you let him pop outside, that could be 6.
Exactly.
I mean, that could be 6 because it's just the sideline and nobody else.
Right.
I mean, you're asking Devontae Harris right there to be the last line of defense. He might just get right by him.
Exactly. And, you know, we know Devontae's not the best open space guy.
Open space guy, right.
You know, but you look at the play right there, it tells you, it's evidence that he could be that nickel guy.
The next one, I think, really highlights Donovan Wilson as an in-the-box player. And I think that's what we're going to see here on these next couple of ones. This is from the bowl game. Liberty Bowl against West Virginia.
Oh, now this is one of my favorite plays right here. When you see this, you see confidence, you see understanding, and he's shooting his gun. He's making the play in the backfield.
Yeah, he is.
The first thing that you're seeing in this position right here, he's reading the line play. Now, the line play a lot will tell you run pass. You know, if you read the uncovered lineman, he's going to give away the run pass key. So when you see him, you see what he reads, and he's decisive in the decision making that he has right here on this play. And so when you shoot the gun, you wrap. It just shows why this guy needs to be more in the box. It shows his athleticism. It shows his smarts. That's what you love to see from Donovan. This play gets me more excited than all the plays that I've seen on him, because it shows his understanding. Now, remember, this is the bowl game. This is the last game of the season. This is late in the season.
Yep.
And so this is showing his true understanding of how to play the position, how to understand this game, what to look at, how how to trust your instincts.
Yeah.
And that's what he's showing here on that play. So when you look at it, I like you got to find a way to get Donovan on the field.
We're looking at it one more time. He's got incredible alertness.
Yes.
I mean, that's not your grandmother's zone read right there. I mean, you got a guy going from the wing, and is the quarterback going to take it, or is he going to give it to the running back? And he read all of that with the man in motion too on that zone read. Now we're going to play the one from Auburn, and it's also a zone read play. And this is going to be where Nick Marshall, who runs a zone read as well as anybody in college football did last year, in one of the most sophisticated zone read attacks in all of college football, and this is the time where he read quarterback.
Well, I tell you this play is another play where it just shows off his ability. Now, not only does he make the play in the backfield, but look how he defeats the block.
Yeah.
Now, the blocker, he gave the blocker
slippery.
He gave the blocker no surface to block him. You know, he turned his shoulders, got through the edge, and made the play. Now, you're talking about what? Nick Marshall, like you said, one of the best zone read quarterbacks, one of the best zone read teams, period, in college football.
Absolutely.
And he's reading the play. He's getting between blocks. He's disengaging from blocks, and he's in the backfield. On all these plays, you see him in the backfield. That's what you want. You want that guy making plays. You want him being able to detect plays that fast, quickly like that. And when you have a defensive back in the backfield, that's something special.
That shows him right there in the box. Now, two freshmen right here.
Right.
A&M's best player actually missed the assignment. He actually read running back handoff. Look at that down at the bottom on the D-line. That's Myles Garrett, and he read inside. He was saved. Nick Marshall, he was saved because Wilson read Nick Marshall.
But you also look at it, too. He's able to adjust on the fly. Now, when you see this play, when you look at Garrett's supposed to have contain on that. So you see that blocker coming out. He's supposed to wall him off, and then Donovan's supposed to fill the inside gap. That's usually how that's played out. And he missed it because he came down and he read run. Read the zone or the read play, excuse me, on that. And Donovan,
so Fultz was supposed to be able to cover up Wilson easily.
Exactly.
Wilson should have been toast on that play.
Exactly.
I see what you're saying.
But you see the adjustment that he made, though. So when he makes that adjustment, you see smarts and you see maturity,
true freshman.
The maturation process. And you see it from season on. So you see it from the beginning of the season. Now you're looking at the plays later into the season. You see that growth. You see the maturing process. I think that's something where, and I keep saying it, you got to find a way to get him on the field.
And one more. This is not in the box, but this is him playing real high back there, almost a center fielder.
Right.
And that's also against Auburn. This one might have saved a touchdown. Another Nick Marshall zone read.
Now, I'll tell you this. This is the hardest tackle to make in football. I promise you, I've been in this position 1,000 times, and every single time I'm in that position, you hate it because the runner literally has a two-way go, and he has nothing but 55 yards in between them,
and he's coming at you like a freight train,
full speed. And so when you see this play and you see him. First thing he did, he attacked the runner. Whatever you do in an open space situation, always attack the runner. Give him one option. Either you can go right or you can go left, but I'm making you choose which way you're going to go. And that's exactly what he did right here.
What an underrated play that was.
Exactly. Now, we talked about a lot of the problems that Watts had in the open field with tackling. We talked about that. We saw that with the Arkansas game.
Same with Devontae.
But when you see Wilson come in and you see him make that open field tackle, that's why I tell you this guy, when it comes to space play, when it comes to being able to read, when it comes to the maturation process he had, there's a spot for him. I think that spot is the nickel spot. When you talk about the nickel spot is probably your nickel spot has to be your smartest defender. And the reason why I say that, he has to be able to play linebacker. He has to be able to play corner. He also has to be able to play safety. You're really three positions in one at the nickel. And so when you see Wilson, I think that's the perfect fit for him.
Man, so we talked about Watts and Devontae Harris.
Right.
Two guys that kind of struggle with ball carriers in the open field.
Right.
Well, guess the other two guys that were chasing are a part of that play if Wilson doesn't make that tackle. It was Watts chasing, and Marshall's faster than him, I think.
Exactly.
I mean, it's close. Watts can run now.
Right.
But see, he's chasing him from behind. The other one, Devontae Harris. If Donovan Wilson doesn't make that play on Marshall, it's a touchdown unless Harris makes the play in the open field. Exactly. And Donovan Wilson said, I'm not gonna play that game. And remember, that was a tight game in the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. And what happened on that drive? It was the fumble. It was the fumbled exchange there, down there in the goal line. And so what happened was he saved a touchdown and allowed A&M's defense, which was porous at best, historically bad at worst, to live another down
and that's
not get 6 points.
You look at safety. At the safety position, you have to make tackles like that. So we looked at a 20-yard game?
Yeah.
Maybe it was a 20-yard game, but that's 20 yards versus another 60-yard touchdown.
It's a double versus a home run.
And so you take it. You know, as a safety, sometimes your job literally is just put the fire out. And that's what he did. So you put the fire out, and they end up with, like you said, getting the fumble maybe 3-4 plays later.
Right.
Whatever
Down
it was.
there to the goal line.
Yeah, so when you look at it like that, that's where the value comes in. You have to be able to look at the value, and it's more than just getting interceptions. It's more than forced fumbles, all that. Safety play is everything embodied in one. That's what he showed.
All right, before we go, what's his weakness? Where does he got to get better?
I'd say the biggest weakness would probably be covering. You know, when you look at
ball skills?
Ball skills. When you look at the full package, you know, he showed you the tackling. He showed you in the box. He showed you great space tackling. But when you look at as a whole, though, you got to look at great space awareness, covering those guys, especially we're talking the nickel spot. You got to play man, but you also have to understand the zones. And within the zones, you got to understand the weaknesses within the zones. So I think that's his biggest weakness, because you didn't really see a lot of plays where he's making plays in space when it comes to covering guys.
Right.
It's in the box, it's tackling. So when you look at his biggest weakness, I think that's the biggest thing he has to fix.
Let me ask you this. We both think he's a nickel because we want him on the field as a starter.
Right.
If he's not, because we don't think he's going to start at free safety over Armani Watts, the electrician.
Right.
And we don't think he's going to start over Justin Evans. And so, but we also know we have evidence and data that tells us that a running back is getting a chance to start at corner.
Yes.
If he doesn't start in the nickel, with what John Chavis wants to do and how physical Wilson is, you think his hips, you think he could play the cornerback spot?
You know what? If you're a nickel, if you can play nickel, you can play corner. And, you know, you look at the physicality, you look at the aggressiveness that he has. If you're moving a running back to corner, it's fair game.
Yeah.
Literally, it's fair game. So when you talk about getting this guy on the field, this is another way. You know, especially what he showed last year. If he matured during the spring process, he could be the opposite guy, opposite Harris. So you never know. That could be a part of the four.
There you
we'll
go.
See.
Former A&M defensive back Jordan Pugh watching tape on Donovan Wilson on TexAgs.com.